So when we talk about A Fish Called Wanda, probably one of the best comedies of the modern era, there was a lot of trivia, a lot of strange goings on, and one death caused by the movie. Now, the biggest, to me, snub ever was John Cleese not getting an Oscar nomination for Best Actor. Now, he was recognized a Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Motion Picture, with Jamie Lee Curtis as Best Actress, even though it's mostly a supporting role. But when it came to the Oscars, it was kind of a freaky thing. Didn't get a Best Picture nomination. Its score is tremendous, and but Kevin Kline won for supporting actor, and he's the weakest of the four leads. Not to saying his performance wasn't great, but it was kind of over the top. Now, what strange about the movie? The film had premiered July 7th, 88 in New York City, in LA on July 13th. It was released theatrically on July 15, 88 by MGM. 6 weeks later, it reached number one at the box office there. It eventually grossed $62.5 million in the States and Canada, become the highest grossing British film of all time, with a gross of £12 million in the UK. Outside the US, including the UK, it grossed $126.1 million for a worldwide total of $188.6 million. It was also the number one rental video in the US in 1989. So, not only it was the best VHS release, or I think it was what do you call it, Laserdisc, or whatever was there at the time. It basically became so popular that it's not even a Python movie. To call it a Python movie would be a disclaimer. Although two of the Pythons were there, it was kind of weird. Now, the lead character played by John Cleese was called Archie Leach, which is actor Cary Grant's real name. Cleese told an interviewer that he called his character after Cary Grant because I feel this film is as near as I'll ever get to being Cary Grant. Cleese admitting in press interviews they had no knowledge of how to direct the film, served as co-director with Crichton, since the studio executives at MGM were worried about Crichton's age. He was 78 at the time. On the set, Crichton wore a t-shirt presented by Cleese and inscribed, "Age and treachery will always overcome youth and skill." Cleese cast his real daughter Cynthia as his screen daughter Portia in the film. Filming began on July 13, 87 and wrapped on September 21, 87 after 70 days. Now, the subtext of one of the end scenes, and not giving away too much, where Kevin Kline's character is taking on John Cleese's character for the love of the Jamie Lee Curtis character, and he brings up the Vietnam War. They whip your hide really good, and said it was a tie. So basically, the movie was very popular in a lot of territories, especially Canada, because of its anti-American subtext. That is American who says, "Don't call me stupid," and he acts like a fucking MAGA all the way through because he thinks he knows something. He's misquoting everything, and like the Jamie Lee Curtis character at one point corrects him on a whole bunch of facts he thinks he knows. Now, Kline did win the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor and a nomination for the BAFTA Award for Best Actor in a Leading Role for his performance. Cleese and Crichton received a nomination for the Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay. Crichton was also nominated for the Academy Award for Best Director. Now, Cleese won the BAFTA Award for Best Actor in a Leading Role, and Curtis received a nomination for the BAFTA Award for Best Actress in a Leading Role and a Golden Globe Award for Best Actress, Motion Picture or Comedy. Michael Palin won the BAFTA Award for Best Actress Supporting Role, while Maria Aitken received a nomination for Best Actors in a Supporting Role. Now, Empire Magazine 2016 ranked Fish Called Wanda number 35 on their list of 100 best British films, with their entry calling it a must-own for any British comedy fan. Adding it made possible Richard Curtis's later BritCom movement by establishing that British eccentricism can sell, revived the world's interest in Ealing comedies, allowed a character with Cary Grant's real name, Cleese's bumbling lawyer Archie Leach, to live again on a big screen. Now, the film is number 27 on Bravo's 100 Funniest Movies, as well as the Reader's Digest list. Now, Otto West as a villain for AFI's 100 Heroes and Villains, but again, for a hitman, he's not too smart. Now, on Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds, get this, a 96% approval rating based on 67 reviews, with an average rating of 8.1 out of 10. The site's critical consensus reads, smartly written, smoothly directed, and solidly cast. A Fish Called Wanda offers a classic example of a brainy comedy with widespread appeal. On Metacritic, the film holds a score of 80 out of 100 based on 17 critics, indicating generally favorable reviews. It also appeared on 60 critics' top 10 lists. Now, there was some controversy with the movie, which is very Python-esque. In March '89, a few months after release of the film, the Orange County chapter of the National Stuttering Project, the predecessor of the National Stuttering Association, picketed outside MGA officers in Culver City in protest of the movie. Now, his stuttering is not made fun of. Actually, he overcomes his stuttering at the end, which a lot of stutterers do, if they can concentrate. But it's not used for negative comedic effect because it's part of the person's character. You know, he said he used to beat Otto when he was younger, and he says the word good. So when he's calm and quiet, the Palin character is unstressed out. But here's the weirdest. This is a weirdest part. During the initial run of the film, there was media reports that a Danish audiologist named Ole Benson died while laughing during a screening, which led newspapers to report he had died from laughter. The official cause of death was heart fibrillation, which may have been caused by an increased heart rate due to extended laughter. Police considered using the event for publicity, but ultimately decided that doing so would be in bad taste. They also said if he would have been from Sweden, I could have used it, because they used to make fun of the Swedes and a lot of British comedy at the time. Now, the Malaysian film Kakak Yul was inspired by this film with many changes, and there's been like 3 or 4 remakes. But when it comes down to it, it is a heist film, and there's a lot of serious parts in there as well. The overall feel of the movie is that there's a lot going on here. Now, just to remind everybody, Charles Crichton directed and wrote it, okay? Story by both of them. Michael Schanberg produced it. And Alan Hume did great in cinematography. Music by John DePress, which was very underrated. He should have been nominated for Best Score. Now, MGM UA distributed it. Again, it was only released in October 14, the United Kingdom, some 4 months after its initial... 3 months after his initial hot run in the States. Now, there's a longer version out there, but the version we're talking about is 108 minutes. The budget for this was, minimal for the time, $7.5 million. But $188.6 million at the box office. But I think over the years has easily made $200-300 million over the years. Now, a lot of people consider this a children's movie because it's almost like a PG-13 version of Python, even though there is some sexual scenes between Jamie Lee Curtis and John Cleese's character, especially when John Cleese is speaking, I think, Russian. The thing is with Jamie Lee Curtis, she's turned on by Kevin Kline because he can speak, I think it's Italian or Spanish or whatever. So she's really turned on by that. But when it comes down to it, the Jamie Lee Curtis character is using Otto, Kevin Kline character is using Jamie Lee Curtis. She's a paramour for 3 different characters, maybe 4 if you include Michael Palin, because he names one of the fish with Wanda. But like I said, it's an extremely, what do you call it, the proper term? It's like a play, but it's an outdoor movie. It's the strangest thing. I can't even explain it. When I first saw it at the Paramount in Campbellton, I said, Jesus fucking Christ, this is probably one of the best things that the Pythons ever did. There was only 2 of the Pythons. But, I mean, you look at Graham Chapman, it's like, I think Cleese took a little bit of the pain of losing Chapman, because I think he died around the same time, and put it in this movie, him and Palin, is almost a tribute to Graham Chapman, because it's a Python sketch, but it's a 4-minute sketch, and it's put into 108 minutes. Now, there is some problem with the movie since that time, because it kind of, stereotypes in the UK, stereotypes in the US, but that was like in 1988. This was still the Thatcher and the Reagan era. So it was the first movie of the 1990s comedy stylings in the States and the UK, but it came out in 88. Anyway, I knew that Kevin Kline was going to win supporting. I thought for sure, can you imagine if John Cleese would have won Best Actor? The speech, how he speaks out against Trump and, MAGA and stuff like that, how he feels sorry for stupid people. And maybe it comes down to this. This movie is 37 years old, and I just rewatched it again for this podcast. is just as fresh, as funny as I saw it when I was a 23-year-old many, many, many moons ago. The Paramount Theater had a beautiful sound system in Campbellton, if you know where I'm from, the North Shore. It has to be seen in a big theater because there's a lot going on. The audio and the score makes it go. But like I said, it's a film noir. It's a heist film. It's a comedy. It's a Python movie. Or what do you call it, two sevenths or whatever like that. But I paid, I think, $5 a seat. I paid full price. And it was worth every penny. I would pay double. And I like to see this re-release at theaters for the big anniversary. It's coming up, 40 years in a couple of years. And it's nice to see Jamie Lee Curtis win an Oscar recently. But I would give the Pythons an honorary Oscar because they've done a lot of great movies. I have nothing against that because, independent production through George Harrison owed a lot to the Pythons. So that's my personal opinion. So ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing here with our Screenshots podcast, let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share.